Continue conversation with Long Beach City Prosecutor Doug Haubert. Doug, the city has faced severe budget cuts in all areas, including public safety. And over several years, your office has been reduced from 21 prosecutors to 14 prosecutors. How has that affected the work of your office?
Well, it's been very difficult to get the same amount of work done with fewer resources, but it's just something that we're going to have to do. All levels of government are looking to do more with less. In my office, in order to deal with that shortage, we've created a volunteer prosecutor program. The volunteer prosecutor program allows licensed attorneys who want to get in courtroom experience and experience as a prosecutor to volunteer for 4 months. We give them progressive training so they're able to do more and more things, and towards the end of their program, they're qualified and able and ready and trained to actually put on a jury trial. So it's a fabulous opportunity for an attorney to get the skills they want and need to become excellent attorneys, but it gives my office the ability to supplement the prosecutors we have with volunteers.
As I've mentioned publicly before, I think that's an incredibly creative idea. These are young, bright attorneys. Many just recently graduated from law school, some waiting for the bar exam, some already passed the bar exam, waiting for a job. And they get good training, obviously, and you get four capable human beings working for nothing.
Yeah, we're actually taking advantage of a very bad economy, but the trade-off, I think they get as much in the trade-off as we get.
There's enormous discretion and responsibility which you have as city prosecutor. I know you take it very seriously. Just talk to that point for a moment.
Well, one of the things that the person in my position has to always be aware of is that we're making decisions about real people. We're affecting real lives. And there are some cases where the person who's being charged is dangerous to society, and that person needs to be kept off the streets for as long as possible. But we prosecute misdemeanors, and a lot of our cases are people who exercised really bad judgment. They made a mistake, they did something dumb, they might have been in the wrong place at the wrong time and made the wrong decision. And sometimes my office has to deal with that and allow those people to move on, get rehabilitation, for example, do community service in exchange for, and sometimes reduction in charges. And these are members of the community, and we have to always remember that not everyone before us is a hardened criminal. In fact, what we do may be able to prevent them from heading in that direction.
And particularly with the jails being overcrowded, as we just discussed, if there's an alternative to incarceration, it's something that should be looked at closely.
All prosecutors should look at alternative sentencing and alternative sentences right now. In my office, for example, we've expanded our community service worker program so that people who are charged with low-level, first-time offenses, they can actually do service in the community, picking up trash at the parks, helping out with alley cleanups. They clean out the bathrooms, they do graffiti paint out. They're giving back to the community where the crime occurred, but they're learning a lesson. And putting them in jail is not necessarily going to teach them a lesson, but by making them work it off, I think they learn from that experience and hopefully will never commit that crime again.
And just for the record, the job of a city prosecutor is not to convict everybody who you charge with, but to see that justice is done. And if you bring a case and do not get a conviction, that doesn't mean you've lost in the sense of moral or ethics or legally. You did what you were supposed to do, and the jury in its wisdom made its decision.
Well, you're absolutely right, and the prosecutor is unique in the world of attorneys in that we're not just there to advocate a particular outcome or to represent a client. Our goal is that justice is done. And sometimes justice means presenting the facts to the jury and letting the jury decide. And if the jury decides there's not enough evidence to convict someone of a crime, we just go on to the next case, and we know that that's part of the justice system.
And of course, you don't bring the case unless, in the view of your office, that person has done what you are charging him with. But reasonable people can differ on the weight of the evidence.
Absolutely, and sometimes charges are brought, and as more facts come forward and we learn more about the case and more about the people involved, that the nature of the case changes, and we view the case differently sometimes 3 months after the case is filed than at the time of filing.
And sometimes you decide to drop the case based on this new evidence.
Well, certainly if we find out that someone, and we don't believe that someone committed that crime, we have an ethical duty to drop the case, absolutely.
Well, as we discussed earlier, and also last week when we had the Chief of Police, Jim McDonald, on the show, fighting crime is not just the responsibility of the police department or the city prosecutor's office, and I know you work closely with the police department, but also all citizens, and you have a view of other quality of life factors affecting crime.
Well, a lot of things go into crime. Obviously, we're seeing problems right now because of realignment, which we've already discussed. We're seeing problems because there have been cuts in public safety. Our office has been cut. The police department's been cut. But at the same time that all that's happening, you're seeing cuts to other parts of Long Beach. The libraries are being cut. The schools are being cut. The park programs are being cut. Those all potentially have a significant indirect impact on crime. And if you think about it, putting teenagers, instead of having after-school programs and activities for them, putting teenagers out on the streets creates more opportunity for crime. Those people become targets for gang recruitment. So in the long run, even though it doesn't directly contribute to public safety, I think in the long run it will have a negative impact. So all of these cuts all happening at the same time, all of it contribute to public safety.
As you may know, I was very active in supporting the PAL program for many, many years, and we had fundraisers for PAL, and the Police Athletic League I thought was a great program, which sadly got chopped 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, and actually that was a great program, not just because it created activities for potentially at-risk youth, but it gave them an opportunity to see police in a different light. It's unfortunate. We have a great police department, and our police department has people who want to interact with the public in an environment that's not simply enforcing the laws. And I know the Police Foundation is stepping up and is doing more to create opportunities for that to happen. But Long Beach is a unique community, and we're very supportive of our police department. It's just they don't have the resources to do what they want to do as much.
Well, one of the real assets of Long Beach, and we've discussed this on air many times before, it's been described as the biggest little city in America. There's a real sense of community in Long Beach, and to the extent that community is the answer to some of these problems, the community stepping up and helping the police, helping the prosecutor's office, is a very positive outcome of these serious budget cuts.
It's absolutely true. And Chief McDonald, who by the way, does a very good job, he at one time said to the community, you are our eyes and ears out there. And it's very, very important. The police can't do their job if there's not a relationship with the community where we're calling the police when we need them.
Great. We'll be continuing this great discussion, but first we have to pause for these messages. We're continuing a conversation with Long Beach City Prosecutor Doug Haubert. Doug, we mentioned earlier how fighting crime is a community obligation, and as you know, we have a Long Beach Police Foundation here in town. You've been good enough to be a member of it, as have other leading people in town, and we want to talk about it for a minute because the Long Beach Police Foundation assists the Long Beach Police Department in 3 important areas: technology and training, and also community outreach, including, importantly, youth programs that we talked about. Shop with a Cop, the Police Explorers, and other things that help our youth. And every member of the community, for $100, can become a charter member. The first 300 who join will be charter members of the Police Foundation. And it's the community, if you don't have the time to contribute, you can contribute $100.
Well, absolutely. It's an interesting thing. When we need help, we call the police. When the police need help, they have to go to the community. And it's important that the community step up and show that we support the police. And you talked about the youth programs that have been cut as a result of the budget problems that we've seen the last few years. I think the Police Foundation is really on target when they're talking about restoring some of these youth programs because the youth in Long Beach need to have opportunities. And having them interact with police officers, whether it's sports, whether it's after-school programs, whatever is out there, this gives them an opportunity to see police in a different light and get them to respect police, get them to understand the role of the police officers. Some of these kids want to become police officers later on. And I think that what the Long Beach Police Foundation is doing is fabulous because it gives us an opportunity to help the people who come to our aid when we need help.
Well said. And one of the programs, and I attended this on a Saturday morning a few months ago, Shop with a Cop. There were several hundred kids there at a Target, and they each got a $100 debit card, and they went shopping at Target with a police officer, and they could buy whatever they wanted. And it was that several hours of interaction. And it's good for the police officer too, because you can get pretty jaded when you're just out on the streets with the bad guys, and this humanizes both sides.
It's a good point, and we talk about Long Beach as a small community, and we all know that Long Beach has historically had a problem with crime, and we're never going to become the great city that we can become unless we can control crime and control the perception of crime. And I think supporting our police department will help us a long way towards that goal.
Well said. So we all can be part of the solution, and one way to do that is to join the Long Beach Police Foundation. You will get this lovely laminated card showing that you are a member. The first 300 people to join will be designated forever as charter members, as long as they stay active in the foundation. And among those who have already joined include, as I mentioned, our city prosecutor, Doug Haubert, Mayor Bob Foster, Councilman Gary DeLong, John Morris, Mike Salt, Diana Hendel, Nick Worthington, and so forth and so on, being part of the solution.
Yeah, that's only the first 300 that join, right?
That's right.
So how do people join? Do you have the website there?
Yes, we're going to put up the website. I'll give it to you right now. It's www.lbpolicefoundation.org, or call up our executive director at area code 562-343-5111. That's 562-343-5111. Operators are standing. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, thank you for your comments. It is true, and you'll feel good.
Yeah, it's a very good program, and it gets you involved in Long Beach, gets you involved in part of the public safety effort we have here. So it's a very good program.
Doug, finally, in the minute or so we have left, you've been prosecutor now for 2.5 years. You have a 4-year term. You're eligible to run again in 2014 if you choose to, but just give us your take on your experience.
Well, this has been, the most rewarding experience of my life, and it's a difficult job, but I think it's a very important job, and I'm very proud of what we're doing. We really are kind of creating new areas for prosecutors. We have more resources available on our website than ever before to help the public. We are engaged with the public in a number of ways, which I don't need to go into now, but if you go to our website, you'll see all the opportunities that we have with the public. But I think just making a difference in Long Beach is a terrific part of this job, and I'm blessed to be doing it. I live in Long Beach, and my family lives here. Kids go to public schools, and it's just a great way to be part of a great community like Long Beach.
Well said. And we'll be back with the rest of our show after these messages. I think we're fortunate to have a city prosecutor of the quality of Doug Haubert, who has deep roots in the community, whose family goes back many years in Long Beach, and who takes his job with the seriousness and the passion which you saw in the last half hour. So, Doug, thank you for your service to the city, and thank you for coming here on Long Beach.
Thank you for those kind words, Art. I have to add that although we're accomplishing a lot in my office, there are a lot of people on my staff that are doing a fabulous job. And so I don't do it enough, and I want to acknowledge the hard work of the men and women who work in the city prosecutor's office, both the prosecutors and the support staff. We handle 14,000 cases a year, and there's no way we could do that without working hard and efficiently. So my hat's off to them.
Well said. Thank you for joining us, Doug.
Thank you for having me, Art.
And thank you at home for being our guest, and please join us next week for the next edition of Straight Talk. Good night, everyone.
Straight Talk has been brought to you by Southern California Edison, the Press Telegram, and remember, Straight Talk is viewable worldwide 24/7 at straighttalktv.com.